Welcome to the Get Sellers Calling You podcast for Christian real estate agents, where we help you grow your business with great marketing tips and grow your faith with powerful, radical faith Bible teaching. I'm Beatty Carmichael, and I'm glad you joined us. Today, we're going to be talking about growing your business with some great marketing tips. So, let's get started. Well, hey there, this is Beatty Carmichael here in my home office, and I just wanted to do a quick introduction to this podcast. This is actually a relaunch of an interview I did a number of years back. This was, I think, my first interview with another real estate agent for our podcast series. And it's with an agent, a good friend of mine named Genny Williams. She was a top producer for a number of years. She then went into coaching for about 13 years. And at the time of this interview, she had just re-entered selling real estate for about 2 months. And what was really fascinating as I was talking with her on this is her phone was literally, while we're on the call, on the interview, ringing with referrals and new sellers that wanted to do business. And all of that came from a list of 40 people, sphere of influence contacts, that actually went back to her old real estate selling days, and she'd simply maintain a relationship with them. And the power of this interview is what can happen if you take those past clients and sphere of influence that you deal with and actually nurture those relationships. Because with Genny, after about 2 months, I think she was getting about 2 listings a week from her sphere of influence from referrals, just after jumping right back in business. And so if you can extrapolate that into your own business and start to increase your referrals on an ongoing basis, then it can be tremendous. So I hope you enjoy this and have a very blessed day. Okay, so welcome to another session of Get Sellers Calling You podcast. And this is where we focus on helping realtors get more sales and get more sellers calling them. And I'm excited to have a special guest, a friend of mine for many years now in the real estate world, Genny Williams, also known AKA as the Six-Figure Coach. So Genny, how are you doing?
I'm doing great because I get to hang out with you today. So thanks for having me here, Beatty.
Well,
I didn't mean to talk over you, but you know that already in the past couple of conversations that we've had, I use the word genius to describe you and to call you by name. So that's exactly how I think of you and have throughout the years. So thanks for letting me be here.
Well, I appreciate that because I think that actually goes both ways because a lot of the stuff I've used or some of the stuff I've used in my teaching and what we apply in helping our clients, I actually stole from you. So, this is what's really interesting. In English, when you steal from someone else, it's called plagiarism. But in marketing, it's called research. So I've done a lot of research with you, and I've loved it.
And anything that I have learned from being in the trenches or the mistakes I've made, please use them. If we could just have everybody's shortcuts and learn from everyone else's mistakes, my gosh, we'd be so much better off, right?
Absolutely. Well, let me do real quick. I'd love to have you a quick introduction of who you are, a little bit about your real estate career, and maybe where you sell. So just so folks listening in or watching in can kind of get a perspective of who is this beautiful blonde-haired bombshell that's on the video.
Who is this crazy lady?
That's right, the crazy lady.
Yes, I am completely passionate about what it is that I do. Mostly passionate about people, but all things marketing. In fact, I am obsessed. And one of my sellers recently said, "You are totally obsessed with this." Yes, I am. So I've been in the real estate business for 22 years. And for the past 10 years, really 10 to 13 years, I have been training, coaching, and mentoring agents and even providing marketing services for real estate agents that have huge businesses. So as much success as I had when I sold the first time around, my clients, hundreds of clients that I've had throughout the years, have had far, far greater success at sales and building teams than I even did. And so much fun. I get to see all of the research that we've poured into their businesses and what works, what doesn't work. And recently I was invited to be a national trainer for eXp Realty, and jumped in, loved the company so much. And I've worked with all kinds of companies here in Birmingham. I live in Birmingham and work Birmingham, but I've also across the country have worked with many different real estate companies. When I saw the power of this one, I jumped in fully committed and left all of my one-on-one clients to pursue this. So it is pretty much a big deal. Did that just really 2 months ago. So it is new. I am selling again. And I've put all of my whole year's coaching into an 8-week program that is group. We do it Facebook in a secret group, and I love it. I'm loving life right now. So.
Well, that's exciting to pull you out of coaching and back into real estate. That says a lot, because I've been where you are. I've been in sales. I've been in training. I've been creating systems, and I'm often tempted to jump back in. So that says a lot. That's pretty exciting.
It is exciting, but I feel like I've got the best training to see what other agents made successful. I'm putting into practice. So I feel like a lot of those, like we were saying, those shortcuts, I have this time around. And when you introduce the podcast about how to get sellers, calling you more, that's the whole goal. That is it. That is the whole goal. And yesterday, I had a full day. I was working from 5 a.m. and had a listing appointment late in the evening. Walked in to the house 8:39ish, but my phone rang the entire time from the time I got out of the listing appointment until I got home, with other sellers calling me. And I walked in and said, I'm not sure if I can keep at this pace to my husband. I said, but this is the dream. And really it's happened in only 2 months. So I definitely have found a couple things that surely work, and I can't wait to implement more. I've just been busy.
Well, so you've now created this huge interest. What in the world are you doing that's in 2 months has got your phone ringing off the hook with sellers? So what's that? What is that super secret? I'm taking notes right now.
Well, you're going to laugh at me at first, because through the years, I'm a huge fan of, and you've heard me say this over and over, the people that are going to help you the quickest reach your goals are the ones you already know, love, and trust, and they know, love, and trust you. So I am a database person. So I haven't been in sales for quite some time. Through the years, if one of my clients said, I have a buyer who's looking for a house like this, I would say, oh, I sold a house, to so-and-so and so-and-so, 7 years ago. Give them a call and see if they want to sell. So I have given out my sphere of influence and my past clients and my database to other people for all of these years. I look up and it's time for me to have my own again to reach out. And I have about 40 people, and that was stretching it, because my sphere of influence are real estate agents. That is where I have been, and all of my love and attention has been there for all of these years. And you can't go back and be a jerk and say, hey, remember when I gave you that client? I need them back. Relationships don't work that way. So
that's funny. So you gave away your business. Now you're trying to get back in. So still, let me make one quick comment, because I heard something a moment ago. So this is an internet interview. So if there's some degradation of the video, the audio, just know we're doing it over the internet. So you've only got a list of 40 people right now, or have you expanded that? I probably interrupted you where you're going.
Oh, no, you're totally fine. Yeah, and please just say stop for a second. So yes, I have about 40 people. I have not expanded that much, but what's funny is the people who know, love, and trust me are the same that I've had in the coaching business, and they are my referral partners. They're my lenders. They're my stagers. They are the people that sponsor my events. And because I've always made sure to give to them, they have given to me. And when I have reached out, they already trust me. So I am working with a lot of their friends, family, clients, relatives, their sphere of influence. So the very first thing that I had to do was to get back in announcing that I'm in real estate. So one letter that I sent out announcing, I got 2 referrals off of it out of 40 people. I actually had an event where 12 people came, was all. But I could only invite 20. But it was a very small, intimate event for ladies that we build bath bombs together. And it was called You're the Bomb Bath Bomb Party. So that was fun. But getting FaceTime back with people again and letting them know that I'm here to help them in real estate. And it didn't hurt that my very first listing that I took, which was also a referral from someone that works with Get a Real Estate Life. He is my social media and PR marketing person. His best friend needed to get his house sold because he was relocating to Seattle. And I had to interview with him. I had to interview with the guy who works with me, right? Because he hasn't seen me in this arena. He's only seen me helping other agents. And I had to interview with mom and with dad. Once they knew they were comfortable, I ended up selling that house in just a few hours. And so having the success from that, I can take and I have those conversations with other people.
So tell me now, so you've got some great relationships with, I'll call them vendor type relationships
Right.
in the industry. But if I'm not a new agent, but maybe a new agent, but if I'm a typical agent, I may not have quite the strong relationships there. What do you, as a coach for the last 10 or 13 years, have you seen, as you have seen these large agents really start to grow? What are some of the things that you have found to be most effective in growing your business?
As a brand new agent. In fact, I'm a mentor at EXP to brand new agents that have closed less than one that join the company. So I am with them, helping them get in production. We have to start with zero. We have to start with the first thing. So of course, naturally, the first thing I'm going to tell them to do is exactly what I just did. You have to get a list of people who know, love, and trust you. And that is the first step. The goal is to get to 150. So I'm working on getting to 150. I've had to be very intentional on going out and meeting new people in the community that are connectors. For instance, I started a radio show specifically about the area that I live in and target and work. It's called Life Along 280 in Chelsea. And because of that high reach, it allows me to promote other small businesses that are also in that area. From there, I'm building great relationships and I am working with connectors. The mayor of Chelsea was one of my first guests. And so he's someone that I need to know, that he needs to know me and the value that I bring. So I work with these brand new agents and tell them we've got to start there. We've got to start with the people who know, love, and trust you. Then we want to move into how do we meet the connectors that are going to make a difference quickly, right? Because if we don't have a quick start, people will get very, very discouraged.
You're preaching my song because I love working with that personal list. So in terms of building that list, any inside secrets, things on how to make it easier? Because here's something really interesting, and you'll probably you won't get a kick out of it, but I'm sure you will recognize this validity. As we work with other clients and really strong producing agents, so how many people do you have in your past clients' sphere of influence and other people list? And they'll go, maybe 50. And I'm thinking, wait, hold on. You do 15 million a year and you only got 50. So what are some things that if I want to build that list out, okay? So this is actually a twofold question.
Right.
Why is that list so important? And what's the easiest way to build it out?
Okay, so if people, the list is so important because, again, these are the people that trust you, so they're going to be more likely to refer you. But you have to train these people to be your foot soldiers. They're not just going to know what to do. They have to be taught and trained what services you bring to the table, how you can help, and how they will not be ashamed or embarrassed to refer you. Because my husband, actually, he's a home builder, and he has gotten to the point where he's like, I'm not giving out any names because people do a great job for me and then they don't show it for other people and it makes me look bad. So we don't want that. We want to train people to feel confident that they're giving the right choice, because people do worry about that. They want to make sure we all want to look like heroes. So we want to look like a hero when we give someone's name, and we want our guy to win because they're the best guy, right? So it's so important because of that. Once you teach them how to fight for passing your name along, or getting people to actually work as a sales part of your team, an unpaid sales part of your team.
So how do you do that? How do you train them? How do you get them overcoming that fear of being ashamed? Sort of like your husband. I'm going to stop giving out referrals because they never go anywhere, or it comes back to me negative. So how do you do that?
Well, you have to keep the person who referred you completely updated at all times. Just had this conversation, just want you to know I've gotten this, this, and this done. Just want you to know. For instance, I had someone that, like a vendor relationship, like you were saying, send me one of her really close friends a $500,000+ house to put on the market. It goes live this week. And it had been on the market previously with a different agent. That's a fantastic agent, an agent that I've worked with, that I love. And this is actually happening to me over and over and over and over again. And I'm not sure if I'm handling it well, but I'm doing my best to try to make sure that I stay respectful.
Yes.
However, she has been sending me updates. He said that you've done this and you've done that and you've done this. And let me just tell you, it's a breath of fresh air. And he's so happy. And he's told everyone here and this and this and this and this. So it's really keeping that person in the process and letting them know that you are working, that you didn't abandon it, that you're doing everything to make them look good.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. I was interviewing another agent recently. He's I don't know, probably 20 million in volume. The cool thing is he works maybe 30, 40 hours a week or less. And one of his big pet peeves is this whole communication channel. But you're taking it to an interesting level, because his focus is always stay in communication with the seller, with your client. But you're saying at the same time here, stay in communication with your referring person at the same degree you would be doing it with one of your clients.
Yes. Now, you have to fill that out just like you do with any relationship. Some people are not going to want to hear it. They're like, okay, great. Yeah, I know you're handling it.
Right.
But especially to jumping back in, and I've been extremely nervous because I have been helping other people for so long. I know that everybody is just like waiting, right? Waiting to see, oh yeah, she thought she knew everything. And I feel the pressure of that, of course. So that extra confidence is important to me, and I am overdoing it right now. I'll probably chill out a little bit later, but I can tell you that it's working, and it is constantly making her think of new people to send to me.
Nate, so let me reel back to a little bit. So these are the things that you're doing right now once you've gotten the referral. You mentioned about training people to be your foot soldiers and to not be ashamed of referring you. Is the not being ashamed of referring you, does that only come once they refer you and then you make them shine, or is there anything you can do ahead of time? So sort of like if I were an agent and I knew your husband, and you weren't in real estate, okay? And anything I can do to kind of help him not be ashamed of referring me? I mean, how do you do it on the front end, or is it always on the back end?
Well, I think you solidify it on the back end for that next one. But when someone's nervous on the front end, I mean, you have to be able to provide your value. You have to show why you're different. What is it about you? Why should I hire you? And it better be very clear. So we have personal brochures that list out, 10 or 11 things. Let me just make it easy for you. Why hire Extra Living at EXP Birmingham? That is our whole branding as selling. And I've got it listed out clearly. You don't have to think about it. These are just the bullet points. And this is why, and these are testimonials from vendors. These are testimonials from the client that was sold their house in, a few hours. These are testimonials from people that I've sold houses for over and over and over again. It's all there because you have to have a confidence level. If you are brand new, you can still have testimonials. You can have testimonials about your work ethic, about who you are as a person, about the unique things that really stand out. You still have 10 reasons, 10 beautiful reasons that will be different from everyone else to hire you specifically.
Okay, cool. And now, the second question I want to understand, because I run into this a lot, people say, I've only got, 40 or 50 people on my list, and you want them to get to 150. How do you get there? Do I really know that many people? What have you found any secrets to try to start building that list up?
Yes, actually, I've got a great shortcut, and that is, and I'm happy to share it with anyone. And Beatty, if you want, people to contact you about this, I do have Michael Mayer's 7L Memory Jogger, and he is the author of 7 Levels of Communication. It's just something that I use. He gives me permission to use it as long as I mention his name, and it's been a huge part of what I do since the day that I met him, because it really prompts you to that bank teller that always knows your name, that you may not have stopped to learn their name, but think about how many people they're in front of all day long. And I can tell you, when I was in Mississippi selling, the bank tellers helped me out so much because I went by every other day to see them and make my rounds around town. And I remember one bank teller telling me one day, I came in to bring flyers of my newest listings so that they would know that I had for sale. And this girl said to me, I've been waiting for you to get here all day. I spoke to this woman. She's ready to put her house on the market. And I said, she has to speak to you. And that's super important. I mean, we want to target and make sure that we have people who cut hair. Think of how many people they're in front of every day in a week. Think of the PTO president. What a leadership role that they're in, and how many people that they, speak to every day. That small group leader at church. Do you know, I have a client that he can trace back almost every bit of his business to church.
Really?
Yes, and that's very powerful. So, people always joke and say, gosh, I joined the wrong one. And you probably didn't. You're probably just not being visible with your value.
So when you talk about looking for people who are connectors, these are the people you're talking about. Those people who, or at least this is what I'm interpreting right now. The teller, the hairdresser, the PTO president, the small group leaders, those people who are in groups of people, as opposed to that person you think, well, I think this person can connect me to their own personal friends. You're looking for those that are in the marketplace with lots of people.
Yes. That's exactly it. And sometimes too, you have to prompt them, Beatty. You can't just, I hear a lot of people say, as long as you love on people, let them know you're there, they'll send you business. That is not true.
If you want more listings, we guarantee them an agent dominator. Whether you're marketing to a geographic farm, past clients and sphere of influence, a niche market, or even commercial property owners, our fully customized postcards produce up to 10 times more results than standard real estate postcards. And we guarantee your listings or your money back. So visit us at agentdominator.com to learn more. And now, back to the podcast.
You have to ask for the business. Now, you don't have to ask for it in a rude, aggressive way, or assume that you're going to get it through language. You want to always say that you are happy to help, and making sure that you make the comment to refer. I can always handle. And here's the magic question that I like to use. Here's the script that I want people to use. At least 10 times a day with new people they haven't met yet. And you can set it up any way you want to in your style. But it works, and you are all about research. So you'll like the research behind this, and you've probably heard me say it before. But set it up any way you want to, and I'm going to set it up. And then I'll share with you the piece of it, the magic. So, Beatty, I don't know if you know what's going on in the real estate market right now. It's a crazy shortage. I've had buyers calling and calling and calling. There's just nothing. We've exhausted everything in MLS right now. And I just want really good people to be able to take advantage of this appreciating market and the seller shortage that we have. I'm desperate, though, to help these people. What 3 people do you know that need to sell a house in the next 60 days?
I like that. I like that a lot.
And I made it my style, my natural style. I added in the sense of urgency. I added in my passion for helping people. It's not salesy. It is, I am desperate for your help. And
that reminds me, I don't know if you know, I won't mention his name just in case, but he's an agent here in town, a friend of mine. His name is Rob. And he was telling me it's really funny because, sometimes the realtor will hit on a gold mine and they don't even know it. So he had a friend that wanted to buy a house in a certain area. He couldn't find one. So Rob wrote a letter that says, I have a client. He's looking in this area. He can't find a house. If you're interested in selling, could you please call me? And so he put it in all these mailboxes. He said, I picked up 2 or 3 listings. None of them were the ones that my client wanted. And I said, Rob, did you do it again? He said,
right.
So, yeah.
I know. We actually have a letter that for our coaching clients that is already written that has had success time and time and time again for reverse prospecting that exact way. And yes, I had one client pick up 2 listings in one neighborhood for that and actually sold it to the people that he was working with, the buyer that he was working with. So that absolutely does work. And no, because it works, agents normally don't do it again.
I know. Yeah, that's just crazy. Hey, I've got to come back to one of these things. So because the personal list is so valuable. Your group of 40 has been ringing your phone off the hook, basically.
Yes.
Talk to me, if you were just to list off the top of your head, who are those connector type roles so that people on this call, they can start to make a list of people that fit those roles? Who will they be?
So a lot of times it's going to be your lenders that have leadership roles. They're going to be in front of a lot of people. It's going to be your PTA presidents. It's going to be your little league coaches. Coaches, even high school, little league, baseball, football, basketball, have so much influence. And parents just want a piece of them. And those are really good people to have in your world. I know nothing about sports. That would be ridiculously phony of me to add those people into my world.
Right.
Introductions are important. So using the triangle of trust, and Michael also states that in his book, is very important. So if you are meeting with someone that you feel is a connector, then you want to ask them, I'm out here really trying to get to know people in the community so that I can help people buy here, sell here. Who do you recommend that I meet right away? And that way you will get a couple of names, and then you say, would you mind calling them and introducing me so that I'm not calling coldly? And that's how you start getting into other people. Insurance salesmen, just think about how many people they know. And oftentimes we forget to market to them. It doesn't matter if they already have a real estate agent. You're just wanting to go in and find a way you can help that person. And they will figure out how to get you a referral. They may never use you. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Show your value, and they will have people that aren't connected to an agent come your way.
I love that. So now we've got this list built, okay? Mm-hmm. So I've got my list of 150 or 200 or more. What do I do next? How do I maximize driving consistent business from that list?
You gotta communicate, right? And then you have to do it often. You have to be so visible these days. It's not something that you're going to send out once a month or once a quarter. And agents are terrible about, well, I send out one Christmas card every year. You're going to be lost in the shuffle.
Mm-hmm.
And you're never going to be heard of again because you're not visible in their world. And you want to make sure that people know that you care about them. If they only hear from you one time a year when it's expected at Christmas, that's not a whole lot of care, and that's not a whole lot of concern. And really, it's all about you. A couple of things too. You don't want to get into the fallacy of, well, that didn't work. I sent it out 4 times and nobody called me. One, you have to have the right message, and 2, you have to be very, very consistent. I find that you better be sending, at least 30 touches to your clients. And it doesn't have to be money, but it's much one-on-one personal attention as you can give is where you're going to get the most value.
So talk to me. So we got to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
First off, I immediately think, okay, does that mean I'm texting them? Does that mean I'm sending them an email, calling them? What do you find? And I'm sure it's probably a mixture of all of that. But
I was going to say it's all of them.
Yeah. Okay. So what do I say? What do I do? Yeah, I've got this list. Do I just start dialing them and saying, hey, it's good to talk to you, and let me check it off and go to the next one? Or how can you guide me what I say on that? Because I get this all the time with agents.
Sure, you do. Absolutely, you do. And you have a great system in place for helping people do that as well. If for some reason you want to try to do this on your own, and if you're very busy, it is going to be overwhelming. So it's great to have some personal, some resources to help out, because you won't be consistent. And then when you're not consistent, you're going to have those peaks and valleys. Peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys. And you need something working behind you as you're in appointments all day long, because you can't do it all. You can't be personal to 500 people at one time. It's very difficult to handle that, because it snowballs. The reason we want 150, I want to make sure to give the science behind that as well, is because 150 people in your sphere of influence communicated with on a regular basis will produce. It's proven. All the numbers have been done. All the statistics come in over and over and over again. 30 sales for you per year at 150,000 average sales price will get you, bam, your 6 figures. And that is truly the path to take it. So I like a combination of things, Beatty. And some of the things that I'll do is I'll just sit there and text people, and I don't do it in a group. Some things are good for group, and I use for anything that I have for free, I'll share it with you. I use an app called Group Text, and it's free. I think they may charge just a little bit to download it now, but whenever they respond, it'll come just to you and it won't come back to the group. Do not ever send a group message to everyone. How embarrassing and unprofessional is that?
Yes.
And I have agents do that to me all the time. Somebody sent me the other day a group message because I'm a part of a condo complex, and somebody responded. I thought she was talking to me, and I was like, I'm so sorry you're not in my contact list. Who are you? Oh my gosh, that's embarrassing. So I will just sit down if I have free time and go, hey, how's it going? What's going on in your world? You always want to make everything about them. It's not about you. It's about them until you have an opportunity for it to be about you and asking back. Most of the time when you're about other people, they will ask you what they can do to help you. So I had one of my really good friends ask the other day if I would buy a sign for the ball field. And Beatty, my child, was at that ball field from the time he was 4 years old up until the time he was 18. He played baseball all those years, and he was on the high school team, and her child is on the high school team. And it was time to sell signs. And I said, yes, get me some referrals. I mean, seriously, I could say that, right? And of course, we have that connection. And she laughed at me. She's like, I can't think of anybody right now. And I'm like, no, there's somebody at that ball field right now, because she was at a work day at the ball field, that is thinking about moving. Go ask them. She came back and she's like, oh my gosh, so-and-so is moving as soon as graduation happens. They're going to Florida, blah, blah, blah. And then she was like, this is their address. This is their contact number. And then a few minutes later, she goes, oh, so-and-so said they were, da, 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 da. Right? And so she gave me 2 great leads just by doing that. You can't get away with that with everyone. She's one of my really good friends, but she asked me for $500.
I love it. I love
I had
it.
every right to ask back for something that could potentially pay me back for that, in a nice and in a great way. So when you start with personalization like that, the events are a great thing. I have lots of clients do movie events where they'll have 375 people show up. And I will watch the referrals pour in from that, because we have to prompt people to refer you at an event. You don't want them just coming, soaking up everything and leaving. You do. You want them to have a great time. But we have referral cards that we'll put out in each one of the seats, with the magic question on it. What 3 people do you know? And we give more lines than 3. And they'll bring them up. I'll watch them pour out of the seats and turn those in. So anytime you can provide fun and value for people. The other things, of course, are going to be a mixture of maybe some greeting cards, some emails. It does not need to be listing after listing after listing. If you do take a listing that you want to share, you can email that to everyone, embed something about that house in that email. And we use MailChimp, it's free. And you can send that out and say in the subject line, please share this with someone who, and then describe who that person is that's perfect for that neighborhood or for that house itself, so that you can get some shares out of it. Because you're asking for interaction, you're asking for help. It's not promo, look at me, I did this, look at me, I did that. You're going to put that in, you're going to sprinkle it in because you want your success stories there, because you want that confidence to refer. But that just gives you some good ideas there. And there are lots more that you can do. Newsletters are a great thing to do. You just need a mixture. Don't hammer people with emails constantly if they don't have value.
This is interesting, because what it sounds like is, and I know it is, you're taking a very deliberate approach to nurturing the list. In your free time, you're just texting little personal messages. You're doing the movie events. You're doing these events over here, sending something to MailChimp. You're just always there, but it's really deliberate. So it sounds overwhelming. How do you systematize it? How do you structure it so that it doesn't fall through the cracks and you're up and down like you were talking about earlier?
Well, the best way is to plan out everything that you're going to do for the whole year and schedule it. So then you can have a really good feel for when you need to have things ready. Now, working with agents for many, many years, we did that with custom marketing plans, and it is very difficult to get their approval and okay, and then the time lapses. So it can be a struggle, but just sitting down and then reviewing it once a quarter. We said we were going to do this. When are our deadlines to have it ready? When do we need to approve it? When is it going out? And it doesn't have to be completely written. Some of your greeting cards can be, and some of your events can be. Some of your calls and text messages can be planned. But you can kind of, like the emails, find what your topics are going to be. It's got to be value. So it's either what's happening around town this week, or here's some money saving things you can do for this week, ways that you can give back. So it's not all real estate. And you can be flexible with the messages of those, but getting a good topic. Those things will help you get it done. But what my real answer is just call you and you can take care of it.
I love it. Yes. We'll put in an unabashed plug at the end of the call.
Well, I know I've done this job for many years. Just get someone else to do it.
Yeah, it's what's really funny, not to plug us, but just to springboard off of that. When as we started working with a lot of agents across the country, the common theme of why people said they did business with us is because They don't know what they're doing, number one, or number two, they just need something that's automated because they keep trying and it falls flat, and then they forget to do it, and they just want something consistent. And there's a lot to be said on that.
Right.
I want to shift topics a little bit and go off at an angle real quickly, because before the call started, you and I were talking about your Christian faith,
Yes.
and talk to me in terms of how does that influence what you do as a realtor, and how do you kind of apply it as a realtor, or does it make an impact at all?
Yes, actually, it does today. It hasn't always. And I'll be extremely honest about where I've been with all of this. I was raised in a household that I wasn't allowed to go to church. My dad was Catholic and my mother was Southern Baptist, and they didn't see the need for choosing and deciding and putting us through a certain path. I believe that my mother had a lot of scars from religion, from the whole deal, so it wasn't talked about. It wasn't I just didn't believe because there was nothing for me to believe. I wasn't compelled by anything. I've had different people reach out to me throughout the years, though. I had one man that I was a bat girl for the baseball team when I was in high school, and he had some mental issues, but he was so faithful. He was so faithful. And for my 16th birthday, he just prayed for me all the time. He saved his money, bought me a Bible that had my name engraved on it.
How
And
neat.
it was really so special, but I am stubborn. That didn't move me much. It moved me because he thought so much of me to do that. But now looking back, I see where that came from. That was just trying to soften me up and listen. And I didn't. I just kept doing my own thing. And it really is not until the past few years that I have recognized and realized and become a strong believer, and dedicated my business to Christ, and pray every day that His grace shines through me and His light shines through me for every person that I meet, not for a gain, but just that they see, that I am a light of His. And now I think I've shared with you, I am actually on a core group for a church plant here in my town of Chelsea. So we've come a long way with all this.
That is a long way. So,
Yes.
so as a Christian, you want to really just kind of live out your faith as a real estate agent, okay?
Right.
Is there anything? You pray about it in the morning, okay, and pray for your business. How
Yes.
else do you use your faith? How else do you live it
Well, I
out?
was going to say I have my little prayer book, but it's sitting over there. It usually sits right here, and I
Okay.
write my prayers out every day and dedicate my business to Christ. And I am just now getting into learning more about tithing and what that means and the commitment of that, and being faithful to that, because I've always done offerings instead and found someone that I needed to help, and poured my love, my money, and my energy into them. And I'm still doing that. I'm helping a friend right now, doing everything she can to get her out of foreclosure so that she can stay in the house with her two special needs sons. That's my number one mission right now. Um, so, and don't get me wrong, please, Beatty. I am the biggest potty mouth. I am such a sinner, and it's just amazing that we have that love and grace through Christ, that we get redeemed every day. So I don't take that lightly, and it means a lot to me, and I try to make all my decisions based on what is good for others. So.
Sure. So let me maybe moving off a business platform a little bit and
Mhm.
just personally, uh, in terms of your relationship with Christ, if you were just kind of sum it up, what it means to you, and uh, and uh, how it's impacted you, can you just kind of share some candid thoughts on that?
Yes, I can. And it's I can articulate many things. This is harder to articulate, I feel, because it's so powerful. It is so much bigger than who we are, what we do for a living. I strongly feel like we are here to make a difference and to show love through everything that we do. That doesn't mean I don't get frustrated, that I don't get angry, that I'm not the biggest road rager there ever was, but I have to step back from that and say, hey, my duty is to make sure that I show grace and love through everything that it is that I do. So I feel like that's what it means to me. I found through a lady that worked for me for years, who I adore, found a Bible study, and we were actually doing it in our office and inviting all the business partners to, and coaching clients to come and take part in it. And it just completely blew me away and moved me that we did part 2 as well. And now she has a new book out, and she lives here in town, and she's so smart and intelligent. She knows all the Hebrew, she knows Greek, she knows every interpretation of every word. And it made so much sense to me when I started learning through Trisha what grace really means. And she had an encounter also with Christ. It's just so touching. And to me, it's completely changed my perspective, my outlook. It's really changed how I feel and see the world, and see, my love for Christ.
So the outlook that's changed. Okay, so let's talk about perspective. Let's go backwards in time to that point before that Bible study, or before things really started to take off with just your faith and understanding this measure of grace, and compare here versus here where you are now. What's the perspective that's changed, and how does it change your life?
Well, for one, I decided to just surrender and stop trying to control everything on my own, because I am not good at that. I'm not. And let myself, do what I can to go down the path that has already been laid out for me, instead of me trying to control every path. And because last year was complete proof to me that I do not know. I do not make the best decisions. I had a really tough year last year, and nothing bad, but not ideal. And just since I have done that this year, based on those beliefs that I learned it logically, through Trisha's teachings and really digging into all the studies of grace. It's just so powerful. My perspective today is just let it go and let God. Let it go. Let it go. And just amazing to me that opportunities come in everywhere. I said to Zach, who works with me, and I said to my husband both yesterday, I said, God is telling me he wants to pay me from every single direction, that if I just stay faithful, that he's got this covered. Because yesterday I had seller after seller after seller call. I had a listing appointment. I had new agents joining EXP with me, and I had a speaking engagement. And it just rang off the hook yesterday. And it's like, what are you even worried about?
Wow, that's so true. And the Lord really does take care of everything. I'm going to blow your mind on one part. So, it says in the Bible that he prepared beforehand all of the good works. And so all of the things that we're struggling with, that we're worrying about, the Lord has already made provision for them. It's just a matter of trusting him to deliver that provision. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely, it does.
One of the things that I find in terms of receiving that, I think it's in Mark, the passage, because there are several passages in the gospel where Peter's walking on the water. And apologize, my light just went out. But one of them is the passage that's a little bit more elongated, and it says that he steps out of the boat and he starts walking on the water. And as soon as he takes his eyes off of Jesus, and puts his eyes on the wind and on the natural, he becomes afraid and he sinks. And Jesus reaches out and grabs him and says, "You of little faith, why did you doubt?" And here's the thing that's been so remarkable to me on that is we see the same situation, sort of like a laboratory. Okay, we have in walking by the Spirit, walking by the flesh, the identical situation, but two completely different outcomes based entirely where you put your focus. And when we get in those tough times, and we put our focus on ourself and on the situation, it seems like we just keep dropping down further and further and getting in tougher and tougher times. But once we put our eyes on the Lord and trust Him in provision, then it seems like everything starts to calm out and work. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I see it. See it completely. See it in other people's lives all the time. And it's always easier to see other people's blessings or other people's gaps, more so than ours. But yesterday was a perfect example of being showered with gifts and knowing that you actually are walking the right path. So for me.
So true. We're getting close to the time of wrapping up. Is there anything else that you would like to share? Anything that we've talked about? Anything from business, from personal? Anything else before we start to wrap up?
Yeah, two things really. One, I did not mention one of the other things that I've had to do to build my sphere of influence, and that's call expired listings. And that's been fun for me. When the very first phone call I made, my hand was shaking like this.
I understand. Yep.
I just haven't done it in so long. And so I had one of my clients who I adore, and she's at EXP with me. I made her come to the house and sit in front of me, and she made calls, I made calls, she made calls, I made calls, because I knew that I wouldn't do it. And I would find every excuse not to do it if she wasn't here making me. And I was doing it. I was making excuses while she was here. I need to research it. No, you don't. You just need to call. Wait a minute. I want to see what it looks like. No, you just need to call. I said, well, if I say this, and she goes, you tell us what to say every day. I said, you're right. And I made the phone call, and my heart was just pounding. He probably heard it on the voicemail. It went to voicemail, and I left a message, and I said, I don't know if that's going to work, but I'm going to give it another push. So I went over to the house, and I wrote a letter about a recent real estate transaction that I was involved in. And that was kind of similar to what I saw with his house. And I left one of those big popcorn tins with the letter by his door, and didn't hear anything. And a few days later, he called and he said, we just had the best voicemail from you. We loved it. Your voicemail was the best. Your letter was the best. And oh my God, I wanted one of those popcorn tins for Christmas and didn't buy one.
I love it.
And it's $5, right? And he said, you have to come over. You have to come over. They loved everything I said until we got to the price. And I'm just going to be honest with people. I'm just not going to be one of those, I'm going to list it for this and try to get you down later, because rarely does that work out. So I did crush their spirits, but it was a house that had been on the market 3 different times and didn't have one showing. So I had to be completely honest. But it made me feel good, because the very first phone call going back in, I got the appointment. And that's what we need every single time. We have to have appointments. New client appointments are what feeds us. And I am super hyper focused on that listing appointment. The buyers will come. They will show up. They will come out of the woodwork. They will call on your signs. They will call from your internet presence. They will call from your Facebook presence. Don't worry about chasing the buyers. They will show up in your world. Find the listings that you can help. And so the second thing I wanted to say was that one of my clients who came to me years and years and years ago, he was worn out, and he had closed 60 transactions, and he said, I want to do more, but I cannot work another minute. And that was because he was working all the buyers. And I said, we've got to shift you to a listing agent. And I said, what's ideal? What would you want to own? What's the area you would want to own? And he gave me a city, and he said, I've never sold anything in that city though. I said, it doesn't matter. They don't know about you yet. And that's when I called you and I introduced you to him and put your plan for direct mail in place. And it seriously was crickets, 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 crickets. Oh my gosh, did we stop it? No, I think you should hang in there. Then me going, oh my gosh, I don't know now. And he would say, no, let's keep going. And it was almost overnight success after the 12th month. Because what we were saying about the research before, it takes so many times to train foot soldiers. These people don't know you. And to be visible, it takes that consistency over a length of time. And nobody wakes up today and says, oh my gosh, Beatty, I want to sell my house today.
That's so true. I want to reel back to the first of the last comments you made, cold calling, because I think it's so typical of what happens is we get scared to pick up the phone, and it's that fear that's inside our brain. It has nothing to do with reality. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. In fact, I heard someone said that what you believe to be true becomes your reality. So
yes.
We just get scared of it. But I think there are three takeaways that I get out of that. Number one, you're doing what you have to do. It's uncomfortable, but you're going to pick up that phone and do it. And I love the fact that you got a friend and say, hold me accountable, okay?
Yes, punch me in the face if I don't do.
Right, that's right. You're my accountability partner. My wife and off tangent, but on target, my wife and I will go play tennis, and we're just easy social tennis players. And I'm not out there very aggressively, but then we say, okay, let's make a deal on who wins and what's going to happen, and then I don't give up. So sometimes you just have to make that happen.
That's true.
I love that. The other thing I loved is that you didn't stop at the voicemail, but you took a handwritten note and a gift. And as soon as you mentioned that, I thought back on one of my other clients that for every listing appointment, he drops off some information about himself and a gift before his listing appointment. And frequently, if he's in a competitive environment, he'll always get the listing, and almost every time that homeowner will lean over and say something like, the gift got you the deal. And so you can't underestimate just that tin of popcorn or whatever you do just as a nice gesture.
You're right. Well, it's standing out. It's another thing to say, your business means so much to me. I went to this little bit extra effort. And that's why I named the branding for selling Extra Living. Not only to have extra, but that we make an extra effort, because so few people make extra effort today, or effort at all. So I don't want to say that I provide service. I want to show you. And that's just a way to prove that you are providing value and you're willing to do what it takes to help someone out.
I love that. So I said earlier we're trying to close off, and I think that was maybe 10 or 15 minutes ago. So I keep getting sucked in because it's so much fun talking with you. But we do have to close just to be sensitive to listeners out there. But now I don't know. Are you? I know. So you're training with EXP. You're doing your own production.
Yes.
If someone wants your help, is there a way? I mean, are you still doing anything in the coaching arena? Okay. Tell me a little bit about that and how people can engage with you, contact you, learn more. What's that? How did they do that?
Sure. I'm very active on Facebook, and we have a fairly large following on Facebook at Get a Real Estate Life. That's the name of the coaching company that I have, Get a Real Estate Life, because we help people actually get a real estate life. And you can look us up on Facebook, or you can go to getarealestatelife.com. I have, Beatty, what's called 6-figure intensity. And it is what it says. It's 6-figure intensity. It is the path. I've taken a whole year of one-on-one coaching and put it in 16 sessions that last for 8 weeks. So it's 2 sessions a week for 8 weeks, and we do it in a private group on Facebook. And it is examples, it's materials, it is heavy how-tos, what to do every single day to fill your calendar. All based on my 6-figure day, a point system that I created years ago to ensure that you aren't fooling yourself and you're actually being productive. I'll give you my cell number. It's 205-223-1044, and text is normally the fastest way, but I can tell you my phone's been blowing up. I have about 319 text messages I have to answer today. But it still is the fastest way for me to get back with you. And I'd love to meet you if you just want to chat. So.
And let me just put a personal endorsement for Genny on that. She really does a great job. A lot of the top producers here in our city, they've been coaching with her, and that's one of the reasons they are top producers. So let me really strongly encourage you to do that. So we got to wrap up, but if you do like this podcast, Get Sellers Calling You, be sure to subscribe to it. Be sure to like it if you're on iTunes or Stitcher or watching it on YouTube. And we love just being able to share some great stuff with you. Genny, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for sharing your life.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be here. I always love chatting with you.
I do too. Well, y'all have a great day, and thanks. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please do two things. Number one, please share this on social media so other people can enjoy it. And number two, if you haven't already subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to either our YouTube channel or our podcast audio channel that you'll find on any audio player with your mobile phone. And then that way you won't miss another episode. Also, if you want help generating listings, please visit our website at agentdominator.com, where we guarantee them or give your money back. Thanks again for listening to the Get Sellers Calling You podcast, and have a very blessed day.